over here. See if you guys can hear me. Ryan is the first one on. No, there's no ticket up yet. Did not put it up yet. I'm going to finish yesterday's first. All right, cool. All right. So let's go across. Some of you, you were so worried about it. Here it is. We can draw the winners. Hey, I recognize that screen. Yes, you should. That was the magical screen that hopefully shed a lot of light on what was going on. All right, so we're going to start off this way because I know some of you are asking. Okay, here we go. This is from last night. We stopped it. Stopped it at an hour, 45 minutes. You guys were all panicked. I know. You were like, oh, God, no pip chips. What happened? No pip chips? I know you guys went through withdrawal last night. Ran out to the 7-Elevens, the Wawas, your, whatever your superstores are, and you went and got a thing of salt and vinegar chips just so you can make it through the night. But here we go. I will give this, and then I will start the drawing for tonight. Winner is Wealth Builder. So, congratulations, Wealth Builder. I think that's like 2 in a row for him, maybe. That's pretty good. I think he's at 2 in a row. 250. Whoops. And I really want to do 250 for some reason. All right. There. With that being said, we'll give you guys one tonight. We will clone that one. And you know what, tonight? Since it's a special time, we'll do 35 pips tonight. Whoops, not 55, 35. 35 works. Great and start. I just have to make sure that I do not keep that in for next time. All right, so let's look at the markets real quick. Basically, we ended up more or less with, I'd say, pretty much a flat day in currencies. 12, 38, minus 32, 11, 4, 40, 21, 1. Obviously, the stock market had a bit more movement around. But again, the currency market, like I said, got the moves we needed, and then we saw a bunch of different retraces. So the retracements is kind of what we've seen lately. And again, I'm not necessarily surprised. The market had kind of already factored that in a lot of cases, that we were going to have those kinds of things. Just pulling other charts up, bringing it across. You guys can look over here. Oops, not that one. Indices. Things like we'll go this one. Okay. There you go. So again, go down to a daily, you can see that was down here at one point, right? And then magically it ended all the way up here. Okay, so again, started to retrace some of the losses, and I mentioned that last night. And if you guys look on the daily, again, this is what we're looking at, right? It hit, went all the way back up again. So nice little rally from the bottom there, even in the indices. And again, started down and then ended up. It's just kind of what we were in for. So not necessarily surprised by what the overall totals were for the day. As you can see, ISM was obviously horrible this morning. It was actually a little bit worse. I was assuming we'd get in like 53.5, 54-ish. I was kind of surprised we actually were down at 52, but stayed consistent. Again, the market wasn't a huge fan of it. And yes, I did type it. I posted it. Did I post it earlier? I don't know if I posted it earlier. There. That was the post from earlier. I don't know if you guys saw it or not, but that was the setup on the Swiss. So I have to give Ernest his credit. As much as I beat it up, it always turns around and then it gets you. It's kind of like, of all the different pairs, this is the one that really set up the most on the news. And again, this was an ISM manufacturing news. I didn't post this one on Instagram yet, but I make sure you guys go over there and follow us on Instagram, because that's where a lot of these are getting posted at. Again, you can learn a lot from being able to see the setups. But what was happening in this one is we were rallying, came all the way up in the 5 minute, basically like about 10 minutes above, you kind of hit that zone, or before the news came out, hit it, and really already starting to move way ahead of time. So again, this was one of the pre-moves, not necessarily a post-move, and it went all the way down, ended up hitting the profit target. It was actually, there was 2 different profit targets. The first one, again, I'll show you in the chart, and then there was the second one. Second one made a little bit more sense. Again, with as fast as it was coming down, it was kind of like, why take myself out right there? Let's see if it continued to push. And it did. It continued to push lower. And then the next 5 minutes, it went down past it and hit the profit target. So didn't make sense to take it out early on and use a working order on that one, or a profit order. But again, able to get 50 pips out of that one, pretty easy move. And I know a couple of you did well with it today. I know James said he did well. Ernest, I think you got one as well. I believe, I'm not sure, was it? I don't know if it's Josh. Somebody else. Josh, did you get one on this one too? I feel somebody else did too. Um, we're talking about this one, so we'll cover that one. So going into again tonight we have the retail sales number at 9:30. You guys will be on your own for that one. Important number for this one is because the previous was minus zero point 0.1. If you look at the kind of the history of it, you guys can see it was supposed to be forecasted at 0.2 and came in minus zero point 0.1. So the fact that they're forecasting 0.5 on this one, they got some really big, really big aspirations for this one. So they're kind of setting themselves high. Typically they'll kind of shoot a little bit low, and then again if you surpass it, it's not the end of the world. But we'll see. Um, Again, that's quite a forecast, so they think it's going to be real good, and we'll have to see how it turns out. But again, that'll be a big one, and we'll get some 4-hour zones real quick for the Aussie. Going into tomorrow, obviously you have this later tonight, and then going into tomorrow, woo, you got craziness in the morning. You have the CAD trade balance, which is CAD trade balance matters for Canada. It's not as big of a thing for the U.S., but for Canada, it does. It basically means how much oil they ship into us is basically what their trade balance is versus everything we're importing. And then again, everything else, we have the non-farm number, we have the unemployment rate. I think we're going to have a change in the unemployment rate this time. Just keep an eye on that one. The non-farm employment change, we'll see what goes on with that one. And then also the hourly earnings. That's always kind of interesting as well. Although obviously, at this point, I think the unemployment rate is going to be the big one. And then later in the afternoon, if that, if all that wasn't enough, but wait, there's more. Then there's the 2 p.m. Powell speaking. Okay. I'm interested to see if Powell is going to give us kind of any insight into really what's going to happen with rate cuts. Is there going to be one? Is there going to be two? You just gotta see. I would like him to say that there's going to be two. I think that would be really exciting for the market. Um, I mean, it'll with the week that we've had, like with the stock market being as down as much as it is. If he said there's going to be two rate cuts, man, it's going to fly Friday afternoon. It will definitely end, way up, because that would be huge for the market. So we'll see kind of how they want to end it. I'll tell you right now, the president will be really excited. If he gets two, he will be all over Twitter, and the markets will be blazing. So we'll see it. We'll see kind of, like I said, if he says nothing, it'll be whatever the current day's trend is. But if he mentions two rate cuts and kind of gives a pretty firm confirmation, or even just a secret to it, like a kind of like an inkling, market's gonna roll. Market's gonna roll. And again, not a bad thing there. All right. All right. Let's jump into charts. All right. So talked about Aussie dollar last night, right? Make sure I had the time frames right because I'm using those today. So you can see again, we're basically in a downtrend setup situation right now. We have a green candle. It's looking for some more, some more, some more orders to be able to short. There is a little bit of a zone right above. You guys can see there's this little bit right here. Not the smallest of areas, but again, you can see that it may be looking to grab some orders here. All right. And again, that's what it's kind of grinding up to. We talked about that on the lower time frames as well. Okay. You guys can see over here, it's really not. I mean, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, so I'd probably refine it further down. Even though it's encompassing the entire bit, it'd probably be a bit safer just to take it off this little top section here. Yes, there's, again, it's marked here, but I would probably just extend this across, and again, keep that kind of where it is. We'll extend it to there. Okay. Again, as far as kind of where our entry is, and again, that entry is going to be based off of 72.47-ish to, I'm sorry, 72.48 to 72.61. And that's that last zone that we kind of just dinged off of. I know it's a 30-minute zone, not a 4-hour, but it butts up right against there, and it actually puts us on the other side of the 4-hour zone. So I think that's really what, where we need to be. Now, as far as the bottom side goes on this one, okay, and Ryan, we talked about this today. Here's an example. See how these wicks are exactly the same exact spot? Okay, it's not a coincidence that it's there. Both of them are technically sitting right under this daily kind of very minute zone. They're sitting right below. So as far as things to the downside go, there's not really a whole lot until we get really back down into this lower level here, down at the 71.40, about 100 pips from where we are. So can retail sales move that far? Sure, but it needs to be a really bad miss. I don't know that we'll get that much tonight. If anything, I'm more probably gonna go with the downtrend setup. If we get any type of spike up, tag this zone and see if we can, turn and flip. It'll be a quick one though. Again, this is a Nadex based pair, so you can trade this with Nadex. Is most likely how I would see. Anything else in the 4-hour, it's kind of like, yeah, there's a zone there. There's descending candles here. That's not bad, coming up to this blue line. And again, you guys can see, we talked about this last night that, this is the area we're bouncing off of. Look for somewhat of a retracement. And again, this purple was formed off the daily. Well, if you extend the purple right there, you guys can see what we hit. Let me fix this on this one. Right there. I want to make sure that it's good over here. And you can see what we hit, right? You guys will see this. Here's your momentum breakout. Boom, boom, and boom, right? There's your white space underneath. It hit and dropped. For those of you that didn't see it, again, we'd already marked it off, obviously, but again, I just wanted to extend this across so you guys could get the full picture of it. So again, for me, that's what I've said for this. Aussie, New Zealand. Kind of a similar pattern. I mean, again, this one's bumped up twice. You can see we grabbed some more orders up top. This one is not in a downtrend setup. This was actually sideways downward confirmed. And again, you should be looking for some type of a zone above. So there is a bit of a 4-hour zone right in here. Okay. You guys can see more or less sitting right there. And again, you could choose, you could choose to grab the wick as well as if you wanted to, but I'm looking at the 30-minute, you can see what it pretty much grabbed. And again, looking to the left of that, this is more or less a fresh zone. Again, kind of based and then obviously collapsed through and it is retracing back up again. This one is pretty close though. Not sure. Let's see. We have 2 hours till news. ATR is about 8. It's about 14. So yeah, so we're getting close. If we can get the price to grind up into that zone, may not be a bad trade to take. Now, this is not obviously a Nadex-based pair, so you're not going to be able to trade this with the protection of an option. This would have to be something you're taking in spot currency. Maybe a little bit more dangerous as well. And again, I think there are probably more setups on the Aussie yen than this one. So again, you may not want to force this if you're risk averse. All right. This is a scenario that we talked about last night. One of the hardest thing that we mentioned was this wick here going all the way up to the zone really kind of messed up a lot of the analysis here. Okay, had that wick not occurred, right, we'd be sitting in a demand zone or a supply zone right now. Okay, so it'd be an interesting place to start, looking for shorts for the news. With that being said, technically we really kind of need a push up, right? And we're talking about a push about 40 pips, 35 pips. They absolutely can do that with news. Again, if we get a little bit of a spike, that would be an entry. Again, continue this across. Okay, moving right up into this area at 67.76. Okay, and again, Nadex base pair. Okay, so again, if we get a spike, be looking to hit that trigger and take something off, or put something on here, or put something basically down here. Okay, is what you could do is if there's a spike up to take something small. Again, get something out of the money, back down again. Probably a daily is what you're going to need. Like I said, you're going to be. We're about 40, so we're right about here is about 2 strike prices. I'm thinking we could potentially be kind of over in here, about 80. So maybe 3, 4 strike prices down is what you'd be looking for, depending on what the risk is at the time. Like I said, I won't be back yet, so I won't be able to tell you what it is, but you guys will have to kind of, use your best judgment on that one, whether you're going to go, 2, 3 positions, out of the money to make the right, the proper risk to reward ratio if you're going to take it with Nadex. If not, again, you can set a small position, a little set and forget trade. Zone is about 8. Just be cautious. The spread is going to get bigger on this one. The spread shouldn't be too bad. It's typically about 2. It may go up to maybe 3 or 4 with news, this type of quality news. So just be a bit careful with that. And don't make sure that you're accounting for that when you do put your stop loss on if you're playing a spike. But the other option is, again, drop this down to a 5-minute, wait for the spike to happen, and then look for somewhat of a red, green, red confirmation on the lower time frame. So that way, at least you know that it's officially going back in your direction. Wouldn't that be the third touch on the 4-hour? Yeah. But the way that it barely touched it here shows me that there's still some orders. And again, this was a high Pierce, this was a lower Pierce, this was an even and lower Pierce, meaning that there's sellers stacking on the top of it. Normally, you get really, really nervous when it's a low one, a medium one, and then a high one. Basically means that it's eaten up. But this one does actually look like it's establishing more orders there because it's lower, lower, and we'll see what we can get into it this time. Yeah, it's technically the 4th. That is correct. But last time it didn't even make it to the zone before it got turned around. So, oh, my nose is just literally like nonstop. But I can't breathe out of it. It's just full of junk. And like I say, guys, I'm playing lacrosse tonight, but I just want to go out, on the record of saying that I'm going to go light. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna be a pick person. Hopefully, I can go back to facing off tonight, and which I didn't get to do last week, and which typically makes it that I get hit less. So we'll see. But the good thing is, next week I won't be there. Oh, another thing, note too, guys. Next week, I'm gonna have an abbreviated schedule. Next Thursday, I actually will not be doing a chart school. I'll be on my way to Vancouver for a wedding. And I should be back at about 5 p.m. on Monday night. So I should be able to do it on Monday night. So just to give you guys an FYI before I forget, I won't be here next Thursday night to do the chart school. But maybe I can talk El Roberto into taking it over on Thursday. See if I can get him out here and give you guys some analysis. It's been a while since he blessed us on the microphone. I know I saw Jack was on there yesterday and he's a little rusty, so we'll see if we can get Roberto back out, give you guys some share some knowledge. Okay. But that's what I'm looking for in this one. Pound Aussie, again, be a little bit more, cautious with Pound Aussie just because it is not a Nadex base pair. This sucker can get volatile. Look at what we've done here on the 4 hour. Okay. We've been literally bouncing again. We drew these, I don't even know how many days ago at this point, but down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So literally just bouncing back and forth between 184.00 and basically 180, 183, right? About 100 and basically about 130 pips top to bottom is what we've been literally channeling back and forth on. And again, this is one that you should have been a little bit more apt at grabbing. You guys can see here. This one spiked up very, very fast, and then it gave you a red, green, red right here. Okay. You had your, again, you can use it there, but you had a red, green, red right there. Okay. Rather small risk zone. Okay. Again, ugly candles, but rather small risk. You're talking about 29 pips, and to go back down to the other end, you have 100. Okay. Oops, not that one. That's not the one I wanted to change. I wanted to change the other one. Over there, and we touched right there. That's the one I want to change to red. And again, red, green pullback, not as high. Another red in a extended range move in a short period of time. Boom, all the way back again. So again, parabolic retracement in this one. That move actually started at about 7 a.m. this morning. Okay, launched itself up very, very fast. 8:30 in the morning, turned, flipped, and then the rest of the day continued to push all the way back down again. So in this case, it was a 30 for 100 over 3-1 risk reward ratio. Okay, again, that was based off a color change to the downside. Where we are now, again, we're at the bottom. Okay, bottom of the channel again. You do have a nice little zone here, and again, you still have the bigger one right here. If we can get some type of a confirmation and it's not too far, not too deep in, again, you could potentially take this to the top side. Just be cautious again because we have news happening in 2 hours. So, just be aware of that before you just get in this position just because in the channel, right? The news is going to supersede this thing's sideways movement. So be cautious with that one. Looking at euro pound. Looking at it on the daily, this one was actually in an anchor break situation where it actually broke below the green candle here. Again, we got a day yesterday that basically was just nothing. It was super indecision. Again, spike up, spike back down again, and then what do we see? A spike basically retraced. So had you taken, again, trying to get short in this position, again, you never really got any heat. And then again, you would have completed it this morning around 7 a.m., that kind of early morning drop. That drop occurred again. 7 o'clock is when the thing happened. And again, by 9 o'clock, it was done for the day. And then now it's starting to retrace back up again. So it really completed this first bit. And we mentioned that before. But again, the original spike was here. Had you not gotten out on that spike and you would have been holding, never negative, always positive, and then obviously here it would have collapsed all the way through again. So it looks like it's starting to kind of get a little bit of a top on there. Again, it has formed now 3 lower highs. Doesn't look like it's got a whole lot of momentum here pushing it through the top. I didn't even see, was there much news? Oh, tells Boris Johnson, you have 1 week to make a better offer. I love this one. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, they're just eventually just going to be like, get out. Get out. We're not interested. I think he's balding. But yeah, so it looks like we're forming a top in my eyes. Look, lower highs, lower lows. It's all the sign of someone of reversal, getting a little bit of pound strength in there again. So maybe they're happy about that. We'll see when we lead into tomorrow. Now, just realized too that tomorrow morning, looking in, there is no early morning news. Okay, you can, we can put it on medium, and even then we only have this, housing equity withdrawal. It's really not even any type of a big number. So I mean, if Boris Johnson has a response back, or people are following his Twitter, or he decides to come out with a plan tomorrow, then obviously that will give us some movement. But for the most part, this one could be kind of ending for the weekend. We may start seeing a bit of a flat line. We'll have obviously some movement tomorrow morning when the European session opens. Obviously, there'll be a bit. He's going to have to respond to this in some sense, but yeah, we'll see where it goes. I mean, who knows? At this point, I'd like the top side of it. I mean, I think that's the way that it kind of went down. Sure, it's great. I mean, if I was going to put a zone in here somewhere, I'd probably stick something there. But again, we're not even at the high. We're kind of moving back up again. Profit targets on this one, I'd probably stick my profit target right about in this area. Okay. Again, could it go lower? Sure. It could mess around with this zone, but why start to get greedy with this one? Your zone up top is about 10 pips, which I'm cool with, and the profit on it is about 50. So it's a 5-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade. If we get, again, movement up to the top side. Okay. Go back down. All right. Euro yen. Okay. So we marked this off last night, and we talked about getting some type of separation, some type of white space. We said we're at the very, very bottom, right? We talked about being here. Let me bring this back up to 4 so we don't totally mess you guys up. Okay. Here's where the candle is right now. This is the 19. Remember, look at the 19 at the bottom. And then the same equivalent is right here, the 19. So we did have a spike up, and we had a spike down. Okay. You guys can see here we are at 19, right? Going back. Hold on, I missed it. Right here. Okay. So little spike up, little spike down, and kind of right back over again. Never have gotten any separation on this one, so we still have not gotten any separation for a continuation pattern. On the 4-hour, it is basing, and it's getting real ugly. When I say real ugly, I mean it's getting to be very, very wicky, very small bodies, meaning that it's a lot of retracements back and forth, a lot of indecision, not really the best trade setup. So still bearish in this one. Unfortunately, this wick right here is messing up a lot of the analysis because it did spike up, but there's really no good zone in this thing to grab more orders in. Honestly, I think still the best area is going to be if it comes all the way back up, but that's quite a move now, right? We're talking about from where current price is back to that zone, you're talking about 80 pips. And the current ATR in this position, oops, I don't know what that was. Nope, is about 70. Okay, so it's over 1 ATR away, and it's only got, it's got 12 hours to go. So don't know if that one's going to make it this week. I think this is going to be more of a next weekend type thing. Ideally, I'm rooting for this one to continue to push south. I want some more European weakness. If we can get some type of a clearance, then it gives us kind of a true trend. I mean, we are in a trend right now, but it's not really a beautiful trend. I mean, the one thing that we can hope for right now is that we get a spike below, and then at least we have a gap in the direction of the trend. So we have an area where we can pull back to grab some more orders. Really the best thing we got on that one, unfortunately. This one is just getting very, very small. It's finally clearing the purple, demand zone. But the wick, this area over here, I mean, the wicks are just all over the place. The euro's drunk. Time to go home. It started happier on Thursday. Okay. Looking at the euro dollar. All right. So this is on the weekly. I was like, wait a second, that is the wrong picture. There we go. I was like, that is definitely not what was happening. So what we talked about in this one was coming back up into this red zone, right? And talking about the little bit of a basing area that we had here. Drop, base, and then huge push down. So we did take a little bounce off this one. It's moved a little bit. I wouldn't say that this has been a home run by any sorts. I mean, we're talking about 30 pips is about 26 pips is what you had. The risk in it, unfortunately, was about 14. So you've really only just gotten up to 2-to-1, and then it kind of died on you. All right. So we're seeing what it's able to do. It, like I said, it did pull back a little bit on the 30. You can see kind of what it hit on the 4-hour. Yeah, it's an okay zone. I wouldn't say that this is a great one. Obviously, we do have higher lows in this area where we have a low here, low here, low here, and low here. So there are obviously some buyers there. we'll see what we're able to do over the next hour or two. Because again, we do have this little this little sawtooth or shark tooth type pattern here where you have all these descending wicks to the downside, which typically means that it's a pretty good, area of sellers that are, getting in and pushing it lower, 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 lower. So, I wouldn't quite say this is a rock and a hard place, but it's pretty close to a rock and a hard place. I'm definitely a bit more bearish in this one, only because we came off of a daily zone. And more importantly, I mean, it was a 4-hour zone, right? A lower time frame 4-hour zone, and not a horrible one on the daily as well. You're able to see it. Is it as good as the top one? Probably not, but still not a bad little zone. It's the first one we hit, and we've already seen kind of. So we get a little bit of a pullback and then a red candle painting here. That's given us our red, green, red in the larger time frame. Again, that gives us all the signals we need to obviously continue to take this one short. All right. But this is a position that you could have put on for today. A pop into that happened at 10 a.m. this morning, just which happened to be right here. That was an ISM spike. Okay. So ISM spiked in and has now started to pull away. Okay. A spike like this where it kind of comes over, once you got this failure to go higher here, that would be all you need to kind of get into this position. One way you could have looked at this to kind of, dial it in is you could have looked at it down here and be like, okay, down, lower, came over again, up, failure to go higher, boom, right there. Okay, so you could have taken your risk and really lowered it down and said, okay, I'm going to take, there's my red, green, red. I'm going to leave that as my risk level right there, which makes it much, much smaller, right? Gives you about 9 pip risk, right? And you were able to move about 22 in the other direction before it retraced. So even if you're in the position right now, you'd still be in up about, about 13 pips. With it kind of breaking above and taking these two levels out, you would have taken yourself out right here. Would have been the safe place, about 16. So you could have got a two for one out of it. Again, that was a confirmation trade. So it's obviously already moved away from the zone. Again, if you were a little bit more aggressive because you got a lower high here, you could have sold this on the way out. And again, gone down and be like, oh, but again, you didn't really take too much heat. So you could have actually established this one all the way up top and just had, this level of risk. Okay. Actually, it's this one. Hold on. Let me move the right one. That way it measures it. Okay. You could have taken it here. Okay. And again, 7 pip risk, and it gets you into it earlier, right? It would got you in right there. And still, there's your 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Okay. Actually, what is it? 8. Yeah, 24 would be right here. Okay. So still able to grab a 3-to-1 off of that one. And again, waiting for the confirmation when it gave you a little bit more risk, and you may not have been able to get out of it as easy. Okay, but there would have been your risk. Okay, on this failure to go higher, you got to put an order in to go to the downside, and right there. It's not even at the bottom. It obviously went lower than this, but kind of line it up right there. There we go. There's a snap. And again, you guys can see it actually went lower, but there's your 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio on that retrace. Ideally, this is where we would be looking to go to. And you guys can see what this was a pipette difference. It didn't exactly hit it, but it's as close as you can get. So again, 3-to-1 on this one. Take it. Don't be greedy. Nice little retracement. Even in a pair like this, you guys can see, obviously you guys should know this by now. This is an easy one. It's $10 per pip. That's a $240 trade. Okay. Again, it just continued to push all the way down from ISM manufacturing news. Okay. Again, parabolic retracement. Looking at your Aussie. Boom. All right, so we talked about this last night, being up in this zone where the upper reaches of it, looking for some type of a confirmation. Whew. Did we get it? I mean, yeah, we got a lot of red, green, reds in here, but man, talk about kind of boring, right? It's like, oh, I mean, it just took forever to do. I mean, again, the 4-hour one, you guys can see it, a little bit better. It looks better on this side, but man, I mean, just talk about, a lot of little, it's kind of more like this, right? This isn't horrible, but it's continuing to push lower. It's leaving that zone to the downside. I'd watch this one a little bit. Unfortunately, by the way this one is formed, there's a couple wicks in here. There's not really a lot. I mean, it is definitely trying to pull up right now. It's too early to start creating a news position for this one, just because, again, we have 2 hours. A lot of stuff can happen in the next 2 hours. If this was right before news and I was seeing this, I'd be looking to get short, try to find a short entry. Some type of level that it could bounce off of, but it's not even remotely close right now to anything. That's kind of a problem. and the fact that it got so high into the zone and spent so much time poking through the top of it, I think really, I mean, at this point, we should be, invalidating the zone at this point. It just spent so much time up there, and yeah, I think it's time to go on this one. Time to move on, right? Um, Trying to think if we do get some type of just a bit of a pop. Let's see how much is this to the downside. It's about 100 pips to the downside. See, there's this little zone right here. It's a wick behind a wall, and there's a little wick here. I mean, it's technically speaking, it's a wick over wick, but it's more, it's kind of a lower level one, lower, like kind of a lower grade one. Um, don't think I'd play the Aussie with this one. I think I'd play the Aussie with one of the Aussie dollar, Aussie yen. I think we're just pushing a little bit too hard on this one. Like I said, I just spent way too much time in this zone for me. Um, if we can get a pullback to it, then yeah, I could potentially be interested in getting short, but it's moved a little bit too far. I don't want to jump into this one. It's already been pushed down. Okay. Look at pound yen. All right, so pound yen is technically in a downtrend setup, right? It's technically green right now, looking for stuff. It's basically almost red, right? You guys can see it. I mean, it's not right there. As you can see, it is green, okay? But in this case, there was a setup right here, okay? When this is still a valid setup, okay? Because again, before it started to pull back, this candle was green, downtrend setup, it hit. You guys can see it on the lower time frames where it hit as well. The risk level, and again, probably would have used that. Okay, and again, obviously trade's still valid. Again, using that top zone refinement. In this case, you're looking at what? 17 pips, which is not bad for this pair, right? I mean, pound yen you're gonna have some movement, right? And again, taking it to the start of the move, which is kind of where we're at right now. Um, you were looking at about 86. I mean, if you use the first level, which we've already hit, is about 70 pips. So again, over 3-to-1 risk reward ratio on that one. Take that one up to there. Make sure I give you guys the right. Yeah, 65. Okay. And again, that was when you guys, if you didn't get in this one, it's already too late. Okay. And again, downtrend setup, go to the 4-hour, same situation. Okay. It grabbed something, went back down, and then retraced back to the start of the move. Can it move that much on a Thursday into Friday? Yeah, I mean, Thursday into Friday, sure. It's more like once you have the move in the, but see, the answer is yes, but most of it will happen the European session, that early morning. Because again, there's still the carryover and everything. But as of like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, that's where we move into basically no movement. All right. But again, this is your easy one. This was your easy one of the night. Okay. Again, this triggered this morning. Okay. Again, ISM time came up, hit. This one actually did the retest and came back down again. So this was another ISM trade today. Yeah, Euro also can move that much into it. Because again, it's called the European session. Sure. Like I said, retail sales could move it in one direction, then you could have the euros. European Union start making some comments tomorrow. I mean, it's possible. Is it as good as like a Monday or Tuesday? No, but it's still not bad. But after like 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, no, you're basically done in the water. Okay, so that's ISM trade number 2. Well, actually, that's number 3, but I jumped ahead on the Swiss. But yeah, that's as far as what we've covered in our standard order. That's ISM trade number 2. Looking at pound dollar. Look at this one. Okay. So this one is nice because it kind of gave us finally a kind of a burst out, right? So we've been going between rock and hard place, rock, hard place, rock, hard place. And again, finally got some, some oomph, right? And again, it came down. This one, it oomphed higher. Okay. Now, the problem with this one, unlike the last one, is we were sitting right. I mean, here's where the news came out, right? We were right in between these two zones. Okay, now again, this one has been hit multiple times on the top side. The bottom one's been hit multiple times, so neither of them is considered really great. And what do? We pulled back. It launched us forward, and now it's starting to retrace again. Now this one has not retraced as far. It wasn't as good of a setup just because we were stuck in between two zones. So there wasn't many orders there, but there were some that it had to burst through. So kind of invalidates a lot of the process on this one. This pullback here was not necessarily worried about it because again, looking at the 4-hour, this is quite a push forward, right? You're talking about in one 4-hour candle, about 130 pip move, which is basically what the ATR is in one 4-hour candle. Okay, it's just this initial, again, it's this 7:30, and then boom, here it is. That the news just kind of rocketed. All right, where we are now, it's hard to say that I'm bearish this position. I do feel that it will kind of get sucked back into that rock and hard place zone. I mean, even though we've pulled back again, you may say, hey, listen, there's white space here. Should we be going long? The reason why I would say I'd be cautious about that one is just because what it took to break through, you typically see a retrace from it. Okay. Is ISM manufacturing bad? Yeah, but it's just an economical factor. It's not, it's not changing interest rates or anything like that. And again, if it was, if it burst through the top and then ground higher by itself and then pulled back, fine. But it needed news to burst through it. So the news reaction takes precedence over the momentum breakout for me in this one. Okay. Um, I think this one will continue to push back down. I think we'll get back into the one. I don't know if we may get, I think we can get down to 123 tomorrow. I don't think we can make it down to 122. But again, non-farm, it's a really, really bad number or a really, really good number. Yeah, this thing will move 120 pips. So it's too early right now to call it on a 4-hour. But like I said, the top of this, I'm not necessarily worried it could break through, although it turned here. You guys can see top, there's the bottom. I mean, miraculously, just surprise! I mean, that's what it bounced off of. Okay, you can see how little space it actually spent there. All right. Again, here's the 10 o'clock window right now. Okay, so again, news at 10. Here's 10 o'clock. What did it do? News shot it right into the zone. 12 pips, and you're up 80. And again, not a bad place, right? Because again, this pop, not as worried about it because that's kind of its initiation point. Right about there is most likely where you have the target. About 80 pips right now. But again, it was 12 pip risk. I mean, if you're getting 48, 50, 60 pips out of it, once this thing kind of, started to pull back up on you, you probably would have pulled the trigger on there. If you would have taken 70 out of it, you're good. $700 trade there, based off of, again, the same exact move. And again, where did it turn off of? You guys can see it. A wick over wick on the 4-hour is what its target was. And that was its, again, that was its point to kind of turn and flip back down again. All right. So trade number 3 off of ISM data this morning. Pound New Zealand. Just all over the place. In, out, in, out. I mean, it's just there's no setup here. I mean, this one as well, we're sideways, downward trend or downward biased, I guess, at this point. It's not confirmed. There's no trend. It's literally going sideways, but we've been stuck inside of the same range. As you guys can see here, we've been kind of really flaunting with this zone back and forth. We talked about how there was a little tiny bit, and actually, I guess there wasn't. There was about 2 wicks there, but yeah, there's just nothing. Pulled down, came back up, came over, came back. It just stuck in the zone. So no trend on the daily, just nothing to trade. Okay. Looking at the New Zealand dollar. Okay. New Zealand dollar obviously had a bit of a bounce. Again, it has the dollar in there, so you would expect that. You guys can see here, this is where price did what happened. And actually, what did it do? It gapped. Okay. It gapped up a little bit in the direction of the trend and continued to go higher. Looking across, it's kind of in a zone. It's just not in a pretty zone. We didn't make it all the way up to this, the clear one. Nothing really spectacular about that really stands out for me on this one. Nothing I would have traded. There was no setup whatsoever. It did push higher and kind of came across. It had pushed back up into kind of this area where we had talked about before. But again, that was really the channeling, right? It was at the very, very top of the channel. But I mean, obviously, news can make it jump past. So it did punch over, and it's pulled back inside of the same kind of blue to blue channel from this line to this line. So no setup for me on this one. Again, if this gets a little bit higher than on the 4-hour at least, we're looking at an uptrend confirmation. obviously sideways, upward confirmed. Look for a pullback and, potentially go long on it. But right now I don't have a whole lot. It pushed up into an area on the daily that we already knew there were some sellers in there. Um, Non-farm for this one, I typically focus on euro or a pound for not something like non-farm. Um, it just moves more. I don't know this one would be the best. Okay. Looking at dollar Swiss. So dollar Swiss was the best one up today. It was the easiest. I mean, it was like an easy 50 pips. Not that the other ones were that difficult in here because they all triggered around the same time. But again, this was probably the easiest on here. And again, I was using this to meet with Ryan today and talking about different possibilities for it. So you can see where news is. Okay. We mentioned two different things here. I can explain that, but here's the technical, 9:45. You can see price popped up and it already started to move, giving us a telltale sign on the 5 minute. So I mean, it was already down here when news came out, but it was already launching itself away, very fast from this zone. Now again, this zone is on a 5 minute. It went down to a very, very small time frame. Okay. Um, it's one of those things. It was the cleanest entry. It already started moving. Had you been watching it again, typically about, I don't know, about a half hour before news is when I'll start kind of perusing the charts and seeing what's close. And again, this is a level that I had marked off. It was only about 6.8 risk. Again, I'd probably give myself a little bit more of a buffer. I think this one I originally went in at like, I want to say it was like 10 as what we throw it in as. Um, I think it was 10. Pretty sure it was 10. I want to say it's 10. Worst case scenario, it was 11 or 12, but I'm pretty sure we got it in for 10, based off of what the spread difference is. And you can see, I mean, it's very, very tiny. You're talking about 1.5 is what it standardly is. So with that being said, here's your risk. This is your 3-to-1 risk to reward in this. Here, I'll make this one like super dark green. Okay. There's your 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio, but I didn't take it off there. I left it on only because it was dropping away so fast. So I had profit target number one, was really, you're kind of looking at this area right here. Okay. Again, you could have taken that one depending on where you got in. Okay, this would have been the other place to take the trade. Okay, and that's kind of more in line with it. But we were moving so fast and the news was so good, it was kind of like, why take it off there? Let's go and shoot for the lower level. Okay, same thing. This was another level, but in looking at it, I was like, that level here, the black line, was just, it may have been here at the start of this move, but I really like what I saw a little bit lower. Okay, you had this kind of area. I'll move this blue out of the way. I liked where this one kind of pulled back. It was like, can we snag something right down at the very, very bottom of the 4-hour zone? Not necessarily the top, but I wonder if we could catch it in the middle because again, it is news. It is pretty powerful news, and that's where we were able to go down and grab it down here. And again, it went farther. Like it went another. Nope, not that one. Not what I wanted. I mean, it went another 13 pips down. So yeah, there was more money in there, but at 50, actually, for drawing was here. It was right there. There was the trade. Okay. So it was basically the bottom of this big spike and then it kind of went, again, it went further. So there was about, I don't know, 18 pips that were left on the table that you could have grabbed at the downside. But risking 8 to make 50 was totally cool with that. It was a round number. It's like, yep, out. And it lasted, what, 20 minutes? For the most part, 25 minutes if you count the farther target to the downside. So it happened fast, but the fact that it was rallying before and pushing up from news into that 5-minute zone, I was like, tiny risk. Again, looking over on this side, I was kind of like, I think there's probably something nice in here. If price goes up, again, we were flaunting with this zone. We were flaunting with a level that was a little bit higher. And again, it was worth a shot. But of all the zones on the top side, this was the one that I saw that really rang out the most because it was on the smaller time frame and a very clear zone. And, you know, it hadn't been up there yet, so I knew it was fresh. And I really like this 2-candle formation. This is one of my favorite 2-candle formations where the green candle is about 50% body and the rest is wick. And then the next one, red, is basically all just a red body straight down again, where it's the start of a move. Just was a big fan of that one. Really like that one a lot. Okay. The downside. But again, 20 minutes out. The other trades took a lot longer. So that for me was basically the trade of the day. Where we are now, again, it's just, you guys can see it. It's basically a flat line since that time. Really hasn't done a whole lot. We bring it back up to 30. You can kind of get a little bit better of a picture that literally spike up, kind of came across, right? Lower high. What did it do? Went right back up in, grabbed that peak, and then collapsed back down. And again, completed this order, went slightly lower, and now it's just kind of petered sideways. So this one will be a mover as well for non-farm. I would probably, depending on how far we are from that zone, let me bring it back down and I can show you guys. I mean, from where we are right now, I'll use this box. So from where we are right now, we're only about 37 pips. Unfortunately, something like non-farm, if it's a big miss, can absolutely move 37. It's probably closer to 60 to 70 on this pair. So depending on the move, maybe we'll have to see how bad the number actually is. If I would take that zone again. And again, it's an 8-pip risk zone. It's tiny, but it's not bad. I mean, if I had to mark it off top and bottom, I'd say probably there'd be my top section. And here'd be my bottom section. Something along those lines. Okay. And we're kind of smack in the middle. Now, again, remember, 5-minute chart. 5-minute charts get decimated by things like non-farm payroll. I'm just going to show you guys as far as if this was like a 30-minute chart, that would be rock solid top and bottom. So don't go out there and be like, wait a second, your zones got blasted. Yeah, they're 5-minute zones. You know, ISM is not quite as powerful as non-farm payroll. Non-farm payroll is much, much higher. So I probably won't look at this one as much, but again, I'll give it a quick peruse. But I just want to show you guys how that one was set up. Right, dollar CAD. Let's see if we can get it to load. Now, we mentioned yesterday we had a lot of movement in dollar CAD. We cleared a lot of the junk out. It was so refreshing. It was awesome. And again, you guys can see today, what do? We pushed all the way back up. Now, we talked about this last night. Here was that zone up at the top, right? We said we had a level here. You know, set yourself an alert for this green. If you got short, right, that's where we push all the way up to. Okay, this was Wednesday morning, right? We went up, 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 up. And then today, this is where we were at, right? So we still really haven't moved a ton. You know, here's the 1930, and then 1930 is right here. Okay. So not that much movement, right? Didn't see the movement that we saw in the other pairs. Okay. Now, part of that is because of manufacturing. You know, what's bad for us is supposedly good for other people, but unfortunately, we buy a lot of our manufacturing supplies from Canada. So if our manufacturing is down, that means we're not buying it from Canada, which is bad for Canada too. Okay. Those are some of the kind of hidden kind of links between different countries. A lot of people don't think about, like, wait, why did this one move? Well, because we buy our supplies from Canada. So, I mean, I think top to bottom on this one, we had what? I mean, had you peak to bottom, you're talking about 30 pips total, where all the other ones moves 50, 60, just straight down. This one did obviously not have the move. Now, looking at this one, we are still at the upper reaches of this one. You guys can see on the 4-hour, I mean, it was basically straight up, right? 3 candles straight up, and now it's stuck, right? It's sitting in this supply zone. So you got to be thinking, are we ready for some type of a short in this position? And I think the answer is probably yes. I want to see where we're at if we can hold this position going into tomorrow. But honestly, non-farm is a big number. There's CAD news as well. So again, sometimes we have the CAD news that will mess this one up. But I think if we can get really bad news tomorrow, I think this one could jump literally 100 pips to the downside. Now, obviously, everybody knows that non-farm is big, so we tend to get a lot of premium inside of the Nadex strikes. They've caught on a little bit, but this could be one of the ones to look at just based off of where we're positioned right now. So again, look for farther out of the money positions tomorrow in this one. Okay, and I'm not talking about holding them until expiration. I'm talking about tripling your money, get out. All right, quick. Now dollar yen. Come on, you can load. Check it in. All right, so looking at this one, we didn't quite make it all the way back up. We wanted this thing to go a bit higher, never quite made it there. And that's going to happen. And again, this is on the 5-minute, so it makes it look like, oh my God, that spent a ton of time away. No, that's kind of what we're looking at. Okay. Did not make it back up to our sell zone. Kind of ran out of juice on the way, and now we're starting to put lower lows in. So it looks like it is starting to resume its kind of path to the downside. Really, it's not the most beautiful chart in the world. It's still ugly. I would still maintain this top section up here. If we do get a spike up here for non-farm, that could be a potential area for us to start shorting off of. Problem is, it's only 20 pips away. Okay, again, something that close, it's going to get absolutely just destroyed by a non-farm. again, to the downside, remember, this is a zone from way, way, way back here. Oh, wait, this is 4 hours. Hold on, that's why. I'm like, what? This is, I knew that was going to happen, Ryan. I haven't said it. I got to remember to do this. I don't do the analysis on the wrong one. That's why this was on the 5 minute. All right, so you can see we were inside of this single wick against the wall on the daily. On the 4 hour, you can see again, it pulled back and kind of pushed up again. It did go up and now it's starting to paint some red candles, but it didn't on the lower time frames. It didn't quite get to where we wanted to go to the downside. So as far as levels on this one, kind of a hard situation because yes, you could use this one here. I'm going to remove this purple one just so we don't confuse people, but there is a zone here, okay, that could potentially be good. Again, it's a wick over wick, as we'll see it up here. That one is a bit farther away. That one is about 50 pips. So better, right? Better than 20. But besides that, we're really kind of clear until we get up into this zone, okay? And that's going to be quite a haul going from here up, right? So that is another zone which I like even more. But you're talking about 90 pips. Now, it is non-farm. Non-farm can absolutely move 90 pips without a problem. It's just whether or not we'll get the full retracement on there or not. But if we do get that much movement, then yeah, there could be something going on. Now, to the downside, a little bit harder, right? Again, we have the single wick against the wall here. We have this other little kind of wick down here that's running into some things, but there's a gap sitting over here. So not the cleanest to the downside. If anything, I'd like you to go up first and then turn it into kind of a sideways bit of movement, right? Pop up and then play a retrace to bring it back down to 106.84. If we can spike up to 107.80, right? Go up 100 and then come back down 100. That's entirely possible with non-farm. Okay, but like I said, just be careful because again, Nadex has expiration on time value, so you need to be a little bit more cautious with that one. But if you take it inside of a 2 hour, we don't need it to move as much. So that is another option. But check the strikes. We'll see, see what Nadex is, thinking about how volatile it's going to be. Okay. Like I said, with everything we've had lately and the way that we've had some large misses, this could be an interesting figure. I think it could be a real interesting figure tomorrow. Or vice versa. On the flip side too, let's provide some fair balance here. On the flip side, what could it do? It could come in exactly as expected and do absolutely nothing. And there's always that possibility as well. But again, that's why we take small risks, particularly in some type of a news breakout situation. Okay. Now, if it doesn't do anything, right? Again, that release is early morning. That release is here. Basically, all eyes will literally be stopped. Whoops, here. This is 8:30 in the morning. If this all comes in exactly as expected and there's really not a whole lot of movement, all eyes are going to be sitting right here. Okay. Not that traders like working late in the afternoon, but all eyes are going to be looking at Powell saying, nothing happened here in the morning. What are you going to say about interest rates? Which kind of makes it a bum day because nobody wants to trade that late in the day. Okay. Last but not least, we'll look at CAD yen. And then I'll pull the scanner up for you guys, and then I am going to roll. But I will definitely give you guys chips tonight. Don't worry. So this position continued to push in. Now, biggest problem with this one is we had this as the shorting area, and it did give us a little bit of a retest, but we didn't really get quite up to the zone. We didn't really get the white space that we liked on this one. I mean, it did rally back up, right? I mean, it bounced here, came up, went down, gave us a little bit of white space, but it didn't quite make it before it kind of drove down. It didn't go to the full profit target, so it was pretty close in this trade. We are driving very, very low in this. You're looking at this on the curve. It got real close to this black line, which is kind of where the last time we saw buyers step in. So it's kind of one of those things. I mean, the trend on this one is kind of getting a little bit extended. We are to the downside. I think it can continue to grind down for another day at this point. Again, push down. There is Canadian data tomorrow morning, so this will move with the Canadian dollar. But right now, it's a little bit too soon. Looking on a 30-minute, got to see where it's going to go. Now, if it can grind up overnight and be in here, then yeah, I'd be looking to take this short. Unfortunately, this is not like a Nadex pair, so you got to be cautious because you'd be taking in spot currency realm. But kind of see. Like I said, I think there's a lot of U.S. news, and all eyes are going to be on U.S. news tomorrow. So I think that's going to be the main priority versus this one. But again, we'll have to see. If there's movement and this one rallies in, then take it for something small. Just make sure you have a stop on. Don't take this one without a stop tomorrow morning because the Canadian news does have the potential to move this a bit. Ho, Ernest. You guys are sneaking in at the very end. All right, so that's the last setup. As I said before, again, you guys can see where we are as far as ES goes, what we ran into. And again, we talked about this yesterday, that this was a gap, was kind of strange, but this one was cleaner. Nice little rally from that. I mean, we were down here at 28.56, and we're all the way back up again about 60 points in one day. So not too bad. And there you go, right? It's funny. I was like messing around earlier with where is it? The bid tool. I was like, if we take it from the low all the way up, I was like, well, there's your 50. Whoops. There's your 61.8. Whoops, went down there and it grabbed it all the way down here. But kind of funny how it worked out, right? All right. So, and then oil. I'll do oil real quick for you guys. Just look at this oil chart. Okay, what do we have going on with oil? Nothing. I mean, it's pushed down to the bottom, right? We talked about this yesterday as well, right? We are, pushing down here into this zone. Okay, it is Friday. I don't, expect too much craziness going on, but there's your oil zone. Well, it's actually not that high, not that low, but okay. But that's where we're sitting in right now. We're sitting in a demand zone for oil, but we'll see what the the U.S. data in the morning says. Like I said, all eyes will be on non-farm. Biggest news release by far, most common, mover. Interest rates typically are, but interest rates can be bigger, but they don't happen all the time. Non-farm is every single month at the same time. First Friday every single month. Bring the fireworks. Is kind of what it is. All right. So with that said, again, there's 6 of you in. Odds are pretty good tonight. So I will close the giveaway in exactly 20 seconds. So you guys need to make sure that you guys get in, or 30 seconds. That way it covers the gap or the delay. FX Jones has got 2. Where's gold? Gold is in my pocket. I don't do gold. You know that. When have I ever shown you a gold chart? Not that I couldn't, but tonight is not the night to do it. You want me to add? You know what, Ernest? Because you asked for it, I'll add it next week. We'll do gold next week too. And you know what? Maybe because somebody is slowly coming out of retirement, maybe I will have a gold trader come on and do like a 5-minute or 10-minute segment on some gold next week. I'll see if I could bribe them to come out, give you a little gold touch. But I'm gonna do like a crazy intro. I'm gonna be like, he likes gold. And like I'm gonna take one of his pictures, I'm gonna Photoshop the heck out of it. And that's gonna be his face. I'm gonna turn him he's gonna be gold member next week. Not really. Not really. Gold is is basically a hedge for inflation. Non-farm is not necessarily as much inflation. I mean, it can. I mean, all things can, but it's more of gold is for inflation more than anything else. All right. All right. Closing the giveaway and drawing the winner, and the winner is Silent Hound Dog. Woo! There we go. Silent, is this your first one winning? I just want you to know that you beat all these guys with stars next to the name, except Josh. But Josh has an Amazon. That's why he doesn't have one. I think honestly that is Silent's first. I think this is his first win. That's pretty cool. Where's Silent? Down here. And again, remember guys, Silent gets points at a lower rate because he's not subscribed to the channel. So that's a big bump for him, kind of pushing up there. So that's pretty cool. It's your second win. All right, there we go. There we go. Now we rolling. Hey, Wealth Builder won 2 in a row. Maybe you will win next week too. That would be kind of cool. Get you up in these 200s and stuff. Be pretty cool. All right, guys. With that being said, I'm going to bounce. I need to go find my cleats. I have to find my license. The baby is now using my wallet to purchase fake items in the hallway. She keeps grabbing my wallet and then comes back with I have no cards, no money. She just gives me the empty wallet back. So I need to go find all these things so I can drive to the field. Thank God it's 5 minutes away. I thought it was my 6th time. Yep. No, you made it. You made it, Silent. And you beat everybody today. So, like I said, Ernest thought he had this one in the bag. Wealth Builder was like, yep, I'm taking this one as well. And you snuck in and you stuck it to him. It's the way to do it, man. Way to do it. Happy about that one. All right, guys. So with that being said, here's the scanner real fast. Okay. I'll make this bigger. Actually, I'm going to reset it real quick because I was messing with it a bit ago. And just give you guys the updated kind of scan from that one. And you'll see I changed some of the figures. Ryan is the one that knows what those figures are for. I have to redo it. I hate when we do that. There we go. All right, so that's what you're looking for. The green here is green for a reason. Okay, green for a reason. As you can see, the only things with setups right now are dollar Swiss, Aussie dollar, also New Zealand, Aussie dollar over here as well. Euro pound is downtrend setup, and then pound CAD, pound yen are both in downtrend setups as well. Other things you should be looking for, though, are a lot of the euro pairs and a lot of the pound pairs. They are in a pre-stage of setup, okay, which I'm trying to hint at you guys that you should be looking at those as well, and they're actually more powerful than the setup call, but keep an eye on those. So if you guys want to screenshot this one, go ahead and screen it. Bryan better watch his credit card purchase history. Kids are running. Honestly, it's not the card I'm worried about. It's the kids that have the phone that has the credit card in there. That one is, I think, is a little bit more dangerous. All right. All right, guys. I'm Bolton. I'm getting out of here. I got to head up to my game. You guys take care. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning for non-farm payroll. Take care.